सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। दयाकरं दयाकरं दान्तं धर्मप्रवर्तकं प्रणमामि दयानन्दं मदाचार्यवरं परम्। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We have seen in detail the keystone verse for mantra for this Upanishad, which was what? Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate atmana vindate viryam vidyaya vindate amritam. And this dismantles within one's own understanding of one's own infrastructure the subtle divisions between what we always take for granted, the knower known divide. That the knower is separate from the known is understood. It is our bread and butter. For what? Samsara. It is the bread and butter of samsara. The knower and the known are just like this. Knower is separate, known is separate. I am other than what I know, and if I am other than what I know, then what do I become? Finite, limited. And yet, on the other hand, there is a strange co-mingling of the knower and the known in the sense that it reproduces samsara. How does that do? By a twist of irony, I identify with everything. I identify with all that is there. I identify with the house. I identify with my belongings. And this identification, what does that do? It compromises the understanding of this I, because there is a wrong identification between the I and the not I. The not I preponderates. Preponderates means becomes big, overwhelming. I am, I am everything mixed up. The I is mixed up in the not I. So the I identifying as the not I is the problem. Why? Because if I say I am as good as the body, first is Dehatma Buddhi is talked about, I am as good as the body, then there is a problem. I am as good as the mind, then there is a problem. I am as good as my house, I am as good as my clothes, on and on, then there is a problem, because the I is not recognized as the Upanishad wants us to see, as the timeless truth of everything. And then this is called anatmani atma adhyasa. Adhyasa, mistake. In anatma, in the not I seek for the I. I seek for that timelessness in the not I. So it is anatmani, in the not I mistake. The I is mistaken to be not I. In the not I seek the I. That means what? The I that I find in the not I, if I am able to find it, will always be finite, limited, and completely overwhelming me. So it reproduces samsara again and again. Then the second mistake with this kind of a separation, or with this lack of a separation, cognitive separation, is atmani anatma adhyasa. So even when the Upanishad tries to disabuse me of the notion that I am finite, I look at everything that is finite, and that finitude gets as though superimposed upon the I, which is what? Infinite. So this is the twofold mistake. Superimposing the infinitude on the finite on the one hand, and then superimposing, as it were, the finitude on the infinite. So Atma is infinite. What do I say to myself? I am a mortal. I am subject to death. So the Deha, the properties of the Deha, or the body, etc., are superimposed on the I, Atma. This is the second mistake. What is the first mistake? The first mistake is the properties, we can't call it properties, the nature of the Atma, which is Satchidananda, infinite, is searched for and superimposed upon everything that is finite. I hope this is clear. So because of this and this twofold entanglement and this twofold mistake, the baby Vedanta talk is what? There is such a thing called Atma, there is such a thing called Anatma. The two must not be mixed up. This is the advice that is given. However, if one were to go away with this kind of a thinking, if one were to go away with this kind of a talk, what would happen? It would just be half knowledge. And what do we know about half knowledge? It is dangerous. Half knowledge is dangerous. That is what happened to Abhimanyu also. Abhimanyu knew how to go into the formation. He had heard even in his womb how to go into this vyuha. Vyuha means a formation, a wheel formation, but did not know how to come out, and it cost him his life in the Mahabharata, Kurukshetra war. Half knowledge is dangerous. And here, therefore, this is just the beginning stage. In the beginning stage, the knower known separation has to be made, otherwise I cannot go forward. Because the I and the not I are strangely mixed up, which is beautifully unpacked in the Adhyasa, the so-called Adhyasa Bhashya of Adi Shankaracharya, or Upodghata Bhashya. Upodghata means introductory Bhashya to the Brahma Sutra. This is where he says there is no connection between the I and the not I. There is no not I even. There is no such thing called Anatma that is independent of Atma, yet one mistakes oneself as the body, yet one mistakes oneself to be the mind. He talks about these two kinds of adhyasas, mistakes in detail. So therefore, the beginning stages, we have to make the mistake, we have to correct this mistake by recognizing the difference between the subject and the object, object dependent upon subject, object separate, object finite, object can be objectified, subject infinite, subject not subject to objectification. All this we have to say. But then if we go away like this, it is not good news, because it is only half the understanding. Now, having made this separation cognitively, now what the Upanishad wants to do is to bring it all together, is to see that any kind of separation lurking in the heart is dangerous to the understanding of non-duality. If I have to see myself as non-dual, then the sneaky ways in which that duality is there in the heart, that has to be ruthlessly examined. My inner infrastructure should be completely free of any kind of division. In my understanding, there should be no division. That's why the last mantra that we talked about is so crucial to this understanding, because it is a pivotal verse that is discussed in the Brahma Sutra, that is also quoted in other Upanishads in the Shankara Bhashya of other Upanishads. Because what does it say? It dismantles ruthlessly this subject-object division, which is the last to go and which we nurse and carry while taking things for granted and without even knowing it. And how do we do that? Because that subject-object separation is there. I am this and I am the knower of this. As soon as you put ER after the know, to know, the verb to know becomes an agent of knowledge. There we have a duality. The agent of knowledge is separate from the object of knowledge, and this is how every branch of knowledge is studied. The agent is intact, untouched. The untouched, intact agent is the one that is under discussion here. The untouched, intact agent is saying, I know Brahman. And we already know from the last section of the fellow who says, I know Brahman, is right or wrong? Wrong, totally wrong, because again we are objectifying that which is not an object. And so therefore this verse becomes very, very important, because it shatters this myth of subject-object division by examining one's own infrastructure, by looking at the thought process itself. Vrittis are subtle, thought process is subtle, thoughts are subtle. And one misses this whole thing if we don't understand the very question with which the Upanishad starts. Kena ishitam preshitam patati manaha. How does the mind fall into various thoughts? This is the student not just asking the process of thoughts, but the subtle difference between the thoughts, the object of thoughts and the agent of thoughts. Who is the thinker? And what is the connection to the vrittis or the objects of the thoughts? What is the connection between the thinker and the thought? Are they two separate things? And what is the bridge between the thinker and the object of thought? And that we would say is the means of knowledge, sight, hearing, etc. And so so now we have a triputi, a tripod. What are the three legs of this tripod? One is me, ahankara, knower, thinker, jnata, pramata. And what is the second leg of this tripod? Known, anatma, object. Everything that is finite, everything that is objectifiable is the second leg of the tripod. And what is the third leg of the tripod? That which bridges the knower and the known. How does the knower know the known? There must be a method, and that is what we call pramana. That method of knowing is called pramana. The means of knowing, the ways of knowing what I know is called pramana. We have 5 of them in number, which are, which are first direct perception, and then all these 5 jnanendriyas. Then we have 2 kinds of inference. Then we have a simile. Then we have the objectification of, or the recognition of, absence of specific things in specific locations. So we have these kinds of pancha pramanaha and this pramanani, and then what happens? We have this very beautifully illustrated, and then we also see that none of these are able to know the Atma, because these have only their reign of experience. Their field of experience is what? Objectification. Their second name is objectification. All the pramanas are designed to objectify, and what am I? Not an object. So they cannot know the I, we know that. So therefore here, the subtle difference between the knower and the known, bridged by the pramana, is only good for what? Knowing of objects. But for the knowing of the subject, A completely different operation is talked about. We saw that. And what is that operation? That we'll see later a little bit. This is just a summary because we've had a gap. So first we have to see that these three things cannot remain as three. Pramata, Prameya, Pramana cannot remain as three. It has to be only one. And how is it only one? For the easiest way to look at it without much thinking is to see all of them as consciousness. What is the truth of Pramata? Even after telling the answer, it doesn't come. Consciousness. What is the truth of Prameya? What is the truth of Pramana? Consciousness. That's the easiest, quick way of getting Vedanta right. Okay? So if you are in a pinch, and if you really want to write the right answer, tell the right answer, everything, what do you say? Consciousness. Just say consciousness. When in doubt, consciousness it out. That's all. Just say consciousness, you'll never be wrong. Okay? But that is just such a pat answer. You have to know why it is consciousness. It's okay to say consciousness, but you can't just have a rote understanding that, oh, it is all consciousness, yeah, it's consciousness. Then we take that also for granted. And so therefore, this mantra talks about looking and analyzing very, very subtly each thought. And each thought, we have seen that there are two components. One is the variable component. What is the variable component? The variable component is the object of knowledge. Because I'm not always looking at one thing. If I'm the whole day, I'm, spending flower gazing, then we don't need to have this discussion. The whole time I'm looking at the flower. Then we don't need to have this discussion. But then I'm looking at the flower, now I'm looking at the paper to see which verse we are on, then I'm looking at the table, then I'm looking at the people in the room, then I'm looking here, looking there. So therefore, the objects are constantly varying. Object of knowledge is variable. And what is the subject? Does the eye change? Does the eye change when I look at flower and when I look at a person? You can say, yes, the eye changes. The flower does not talk back, so it's easy for me to be happy. So the happy eye comes out when I look at the flower. And then what? The unhappy eye, one can say, comes out when I look at a person because I find this person very annoying. But that too again is is on the level of the body, mind, sense complex, the mind, the raga and the dvesha. But the truth is, because of the constant presence of the I, the object changes can be delineated. Because of the presence of the invariable I, which is consciousness, the objects can be delineated. Objects are also, then that is the first thing. Second thing, the objects are also non-separate from consciousness. They are also consciousness, but they are, so to speak, qualified consciousness. As though qualified consciousness, consciousness qualified by name and form. So this is the, so what is invariable is that consciousness which morphs into an as though Vishishta Chaitanya or Avachinna Chaitanya. Avachinna is better. As though conditioned qualified consciousness. Ahankara Avachinna Chaitanya. The consciousness that is as though qualified by it being what? Ahankara. So the one who says, I know, I am the knower. This is Ahankara. Then we have that object qualified consciousness. So like this we have the same consciousness which has a subtle name and form when we talk about knower, and which has an overt name and form when we talk about the object of consciousness. So basically the invariable in every thought is what? The I, which is consciousness. And this I, the same I, which is without name and form, which is without time, which is free of all divisions, as though gets divided, as though morphs into knower, as though morphs into known, as though morphs into the means of knowledge. And the example that was given was the three waves in an ocean. The waves are non-separate from the ocean, but the waves have names. One is called surf, one is called breaker, the other one is just a little wave. Like this, all the formations in the ocean have names, they have forms, but they are non-separate from the ocean. And the ocean does not undergo any change. It does not, quote unquote, become a wave and cease to be the ocean. So too is the truth of the oceanic consciousness, which is neither knower nor thinker nor doer, nor is it the object of doing, nor is it the object of knowledge, nor is it pramana. Why? Because it is everything. It cannot be any one thing. This has to become clear. And so this is just a summary of the very lengthy discussion we had with the last mantra. The concluding mantra of this chapter is again very fitting and beautiful conclusion. Let us chant that. Iha cheda vedinatha satyamasti न चेदिहा वेदीन् महति विनष्टिः भूतेषु भूतेषु विचित्य धीराः प्रेत्यास्मान् लोकादमृता भवन्ति. So, very beautiful. Iha chet avedit. Avedit, if one knows. Chet means if. If one knows, iha, here. Oh, here means in this lecture hall right now. Yes, basically. And iha also means while this body is still present. Iha means while you are in this body. When you are in this body, if you know, atha satyam asti, then your life is true. Oh, otherwise my life is false? You bet. Why is my life false? Your life is false, the Upanishad says, because you are leading a life based on false premises. What is the first false premise? I am the doer. Karta aham. Then what is the second false premise? Bhokta aham. Yeah, see, you have to think correctly. Karta means you have to bring in bhokta. Karta aham, first false premise. What is the second false premise? Bhokta aham. I am the experiencer of other people's omissions and commissions. Karta aham, I am the doer of my own omissions and commissions, author of my own problems, author of my own commissions and omissions. Bhokta aham, I am the recipient of other people's hurts, other people's pains, other people don't like me, nobody loves me. This is bhokta. Usually they translate bhokta as enjoyer. If you can enjoy samsara, what can we say? Ayushyaman bhava, live long, that's all. Nobody can enjoy samsara. Bhokta really means the one who experiences it. So the experiencer, this is how one knows oneself. So then, therefore, iha ched avedit atha satyam asti. So, if one knows this truth, that I am neither karta nor bhokta nor pramata nor any ta. Ta means trich. Anything ending in er. I am not the author, I am not the doer, I am not the experiencer, I am not anything. If I know this, atha satyam asti, then my life can be said to be led as true. It is true. Why is it true? Otherwise, I am operating under false assumptions. The first assumption that I am karta is false. If I take myself to be karta, what are my pursuits? Are they true or false? Ayo. Ayo. So sad. Let's have a moment of silence. So if I am acting on false premises, are my actions true or false? Ayyabba. Okay. So, false. So the pursuits are also what? False. The premise based upon the actions of the pursuits are what? False. It's like winning a dream lottery where? In the dream. In dream time, I'm winning the dream lottery and taking the dream check to the dream bank and then saying, give me all this money. I'm encashing the dream check from the dream bank and having in my suitcase, briefcase, like the kind the mafia people carry, full of what? The dream briefcase is full of? Don't say money, dream cash, dream money. And with that, I go to a real estate agent and buy my dream house in a dream house. Yeah, not just dream house. Then I buy my dream house. Then what? Alarm rings. Yeah, this Wednesday is not a holiday. Okay, alarm has to ring, it will ring. And therefore what happens? Everything is sad. What happened to the dream money? Gone. Then we have to work backwards. Dream cash gone, dream bank gone, dream check gone, dream lottery gone, dreamer I gone, replaced by waker I. So then all those pursuits in the dream, from the playing the dream lottery, buying the dream lottery ticket, to buying the dream house, all of them are what? False. Why? Because the dreamer herself has been falsified. When the dreamer is falsified, can the dream be true? No. That's why all the pursuits likewise, in this dreamlike state of ignorance, whatever one does is what? False. It is not satyam asti. It is all asat. Asat here means mithya. It's all asat. Dream is mithya within mithya. The waking state is what? Just mithya. So the problem, see, all the pursuits are based on trying to fix a certain problem. I don't have confidence about myself. Therefore, what will I do? Any number of things one can do. One can take up a degree to have self-confidence. If I accomplish this, then I will become acceptable to myself. Is the self acceptable or non-acceptable? I only went for 8 days. Yeah. Something happened, I don't know what. Yeah. Self is acceptable or unacceptable? Self is unacceptable? Whoever said that, please see me after class, it is urgent. Is the self already acceptable or non-acceptable? Acceptable. It's acceptable. But what am I doing? I'm superimposing the non-acceptability on an acceptable self. Do you see that? And if you're doing that, is it true or is it false? It's false. It's like the person who is sitting on a treasure chest. You find him on the road sitting on a big treasure chest filled with gold bars, diamonds and all kinds of precious things. He's sitting, why is he sitting there? Because he just wants a little vantage point. He wants to sit on something comfortable. So he's sitting on the treasure chest, which belongs to him. And in his hand he has a begging bowl and saying, please, and he's crying. Please help me. I don't have food. I don't have money. Help. What should I do? That he is a beggar. Is it true or false? The assumption. False. And the act of begging based on that assumption, is it true or false? False. False assumption, false pursuit, false tears, false emotions, false sorrow. So therefore, everything that you do in this world is asat. Because the premise for every action is what? Asat. Asat premise leads to asat pursuits, leads to asat results, which I don't like. That not liking is also asat, and which leads me to do what? More asat pursuits. This is called samsara. The premise of samsara itself is wrong. That the self is non-acceptable. That's the first premise of samsara. Therefore, I have to somehow make it acceptable. Second premise of samsara. Third premise of samsara, that there is a pressure to do, because I desire to be acceptable, and that desire for acceptability only finds its reconnaissance, it finds its culmination, it finds its satisfaction in the truth, in understanding that I am already acceptable. That's how it is. If I try to make what is acceptable acceptable, I am a fool. It's a waste of time. It's a total waste of time. Iha chedavetit atha satyamasti. And if one knows this, then the pursuit can be said to have been fruitful. Fruitful pursuit. Otherwise it's what? Fruitless pursuit. Fruitless pursuit, lot of running around, nothing to show except perhaps weight loss. That's all. Weight loss and feeling haggard and feeling tired all the time, having no energy, feeling overwhelmed. I'm not able to relax because I feel the whole premise is my life is centered on a series of lack. If there are too many lacks, what happens? If there are too many lacks, I am unable to relax. And then if there are too many lacks, my life is lackluster. Same old, same old. I keep repeating the same mistakes, hoping for a different outcome. How will that happen? What I am pursuing is finite. The finite is false. Therefore, the pursuit is false. The assumption based on what I am pursuing is also false. And therefore, my life is just, what should I say, unending samsara. I die with this assumption that I am unacceptable, and then what happens? I am reborn with the same assumption in a different body. And they have a, saying like this, oh, old wine in new bottle. That's all it is. Bottle is new. Body is new in the next life. And what is inside? Oh, same old understanding, non-understanding, same old incompleteness, same old disgust for myself, for the world, for everybody else, same old authority issues, same old different situations. So then next life also same. After that also same. So you cannot try to get swimming lessons to swim in the ocean of samsara. What do we have to do? Falsify the ocean itself as but a notion. That the ocean is a notion is given only through the study of Vedanta Shastra, nothing else at all. And hence, the whole premise here is put very beautifully in this last verse. Iha ched avedit, chet means if. And the word if is a very heavy if. Why? It shows all the graces that have to come, the anugraha that has to come in order to know the Atma. The Atma is right there. It is self-evident, self-understood, self-luminous. Nobody has to tell me I exist. But it is not recognized for the want of a proper means of knowledge, Shastra Pramana, Shabda Pramana, it is not recognized. And so therefore what? Therefore some adjustment is needed here in the head. Everybody has to go through some subtle adjustment, and then only the ignorance can drop. So acknowledging this difficulty in giving up the resistance, in giving up the blocks, in giving up resistance to many things. in giving up resistance to my own assumptions, my own notions, in giving up resistance to seeing what the Shruti says, in giving up resistance to the words of the teacher. Sometimes that's also a block. I'm not able to listen properly because I have problems. And all these problems have to be understood, have to be let go of. One has to work towards it. That's why there is if. Upanishad talks like this, even in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Atmanam ched vijaniyat. Chet is also there. The word chet is a heavy word. If one knows the Atma as what? Ahamasmi iti purushaha. This is myself alone. All that is here is myself alone to know is a very big and a very important and not an easy journey. Not because the Atma is difficult to understand, but because I am filled with my own problems and resistances. And so therefore, here also, iha ched avedit atha satyam asti. That we'll see later. Na ched iha avedit. If I, on the other hand, if I don't know in this life, vinashtihi. Vinashtihi means what? Loss. Mahati vinashtihi. Feminine, great loss. Great loss. Oh, I have already, and I know what great loss is like. I have already encountered great losses. Losses of loved ones, losses of money, losses of real estate, losses of name and fame for no fault of my own. Somebody can say, this is a bigger loss than all the losses you have put together. If you put together the losses that you have had in your life, losses of friendships, losses of loved ones, losses of fame, losses of name, losses of property, riches, everything. If you put together, it will not hold a candle to this loss. Why? Because all those things that you may have lost are what? Finite. And what is this knowledge? Infinite. The loss of the infinite is an infinite loss. If we miss the chance in the next few days, before finishing this Upanishad, if we miss this chance to know, then it is gone. The Upanishad herself says. Because the loss of what we are talking of is limitless, Purna Atma. The loss of the limitless, is it a finite loss or an infinite loss? It's a limitless loss. The loss of the limitless is the limitless loss. So, Mahati Vinashtihi, if you don't know this verse, the concluding verse really sums up this quest very, very beautifully, while also giving the person, the sadhaka, another chance to just rinse the face and then what? Sit in attention for the rest of the Upanishad, for what is to come next. And what is to come next, my dear friends, is a very beautiful section, very lovely section. And for this, a certain readiness is required, because there is a story and then there is a moral of the story. The story is enjoyable, of course, but if the moral of the story is not recognized and assimilated, then we go back to this same verse over here, which is what? The loss of the limitless is a limitless loss. And what happens if there is a limitless loss? If there is an infinite loss, if I lose the infinite, what do I become? An infinite seeker. Because I don't know what the infinite is. So I'm seeking infinitely where? In all kinds of limited, finite places. I seek infinitely, I seek infinitely. So, it is how it is. By the time one comes and settles down in one ashram, if you exchange your histories, you will yourself see how much you search for this knowledge, or where all you went, what all you did to gain this knowledge. So seeking the infinite in finite places is what we have been doing lifelong. Lifelong we have been doing this. This is the whole bread and butter of samsara. And samsara is very enchanting and alluring. It says, yes, come. Do you have Purna? Yes, I have lot of Purna. How much Purna you want? 1 kilo of limitlessness? 2 kilos? How much you want? And like a fool we go. Like Vimudhaha. Vimudhaha means deluded to the reality. Deluded to the reality, we visit shops to buy limitlessness and we understand what? The seeker itself is limitless. That we have to understand. And if that is not understood, shopping for the limitless is what? Dropping. Shopping means dropping. There is an expression. Shop until you drop. That is what happens. So it's better than to drop, is to drop the notions that this is not a matter for shopping at all. You can't shop for limitlessness because the shopper is the one who is limitless. And so therefore this has to be understood. Iha ched avedit atha satyam asti. Na ched iha avedit mahati vinashtihi. Both the choices are put plainly there. The Upanishad does not hold any secret cards. Oh, I have something you don't have. No, all the cards are open. The choices are very, very clear. What will you choose? Do you choose to become or to continue to be an infinite seeker, or would you like to be known as the seeker of the infinite? Seeker of the infinite. Much better. See, if I say I am the seeker of the infinite, then the quest is finite. Because the truth of the seeker being already achieved, already accomplished, I don't have to go here, I don't have to go there, I don't have to do anything. I have to simply drop the resistance and the ignorance to knowing I am that which I am seeking. But if I become an infinite seeker, an infinite shopper, then what? Then keep on seeking, keep on seeking. So in the regular life, so to speak, one was shopping for various experiences. Then one comes to the spiritual life and one shops for the best ashrams. How do you decide what is the best ashram? Where is the best food? Which has the best experiences? And where is there the least number of rules, so that one doesn't have to follow anything? Then this would be again, who is making this decision? The one who is making this decision is not the seeker. The seeker wants the infinite. The one who is making the decision is Bala, the child. The Kenopanishad says this very, very clearly. Na samparayah pratibhati balam pramadyantam vittamohena moodham. Samparayah means foresight, thinking about this life and then the afterlife and then the life after that, how it will just be completely reproducing samsara after samsara. The one who doesn't have the foresight to see that right here, right now, in spite of being exposed to this knowledge, is called Balaha. Balaha means what? Baby. Child. Child means no viveka. Childish. That's why the child has childish pursuits. Even if you tell it, all these toys are useless, it's not going to give them up. It will keep on clinging to things, clinging to all kinds of finite things. And this person bodily grown up, bodily adult, mentally and emotionally what? Balaha. Samparayah na pratibhati. Pratibhati means does not shine as a concept. All this, what is afterlife, what is punya, what is papa, what is accountability, what is responsibility, and then what is dharma, and how do I make my life less cumbersome by rightening my pursuits. All this is not talked about at all, is not understood. Pramadyantam. Pramadyantam means what does this Bala do? Keeps making the same mistake again and again. You tell the child, don't touch this kettle, it is hot. It will say, yes, yes, and 2 minutes later it will go and hug the kettle. keeps making the same mistakes and crying as a result, because when the results are given, then it is not understood, it's not enjoyed. Why? Vittamohena. Vittamohena. Vittam here doesn't just, vitta means wealth. Not just wealth, here all kinds of finite experiences. Some people feel wealthy through collecting some things. Collecting coins, collecting friends, collecting stamps, collecting so many things. So there is a moha, there is a delusion that this wealth is going to make me wealthy, not understanding that all the pursuits are finite. And then vittamohena mudha, deluded as to priorities and pursuits in life, completely and totally deluded. Such a person, what? They keep going around and around in samsara. Kenopanishad says, same idea is presented here. Immature understanding leads to immature pursuits, which the Upanishad calls here as false. Then what is true? What is true is that which you assert as the truth of yourself. I am Purna, I am free, I am free of incompleteness, and therefore I don't have to pursue anything. I'm free to pursue anything, but I don't have to pursue completeness. This is Satyamasti. Satyamasti means the person's life is well lived. We'll see that some more. The person's life is well lived. Because as we have seen in the Viveka Chudamani, what have we seen? We have seen that it is totally the great act of Daiva Anugraham. The life of a human being is a God-sent blessing. Why? Because there is a chance to get the 3 M's. M and M and M. What are they? First is Manushyatvam, human birth. Again, a rare and lucky occurrence. And then Mumukshutvam. Many people are human beings. How many people recognize that I want to be free? There is this sense of doing the same thing again and again. There is a notion of bondage which I want to get rid of. How many people recognize? Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschidyatati siddhaye. 7th chapter opened with this statistic. Out of all the people in the world, one knows how to take up this pursuit in the right way. Manushyatvam is rare, mumukshutvam even rarer, and then rarer still is the 3rd M. What is that? Mahapurusha Samshrayaha. Gaining a guru that will unfold this knowledge and make me drop my ignorance and therefore drop the samsaric pursuits, drop samsara completely. That is the rarest of all. So, this is something we have to understand properly, very, very properly. Ihached avedit. In this body, if I know, in this life, if I know, then my life is fulfilled, well lived. I can say I have lived a true life because the pursuit of the truth is the truest pursuit. Because there is an end to it. Other pursuits are not true because there is no end to these pursuits. Gaining which, everything is again finite. Gaining which, again I have to keep pursuing. That is called a false pursuit. So this presents the 2 kinds of lifestyles here. One without Vedantic knowledge, the other with Vedanta knowledge very, very clearly. And then the phala, the Jnana phalam, will be given in the next line, which we will discuss in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadagya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Two announcements. No Sanskritam today. Lalita's class is not there.